Are you there? Hello? Hello and welcome back. I think you're there. Today, beginners. Sorry. Pero ojo, si tienes un nivel intermedio o avanzado o crees tenerlo, quieto parado. Porque lo que voy a hacer hoy te conviene a ti. Okay. Además de los principiantes. This is for beginners. Okay. Is there a bus stop near your house? Yes, there is. Is there a fire station near your house? A fire station is where the firemen live often and work, okay? Is there a fire station near your house? No, there isn't. Is there? Is there a pen on the table? Yes, there is. Is there a book on the table? Yes, there is. Is there a camera in this room? Yes, there is, right there. Are there any lights in this room? Acabo de cambiar el plural, pero fijaos. I'm speaking of items, objects, okay? Countable objects. I can count a pen. 1. Well, imagine I have an invisible pen. 1, 2. Okay, that's countable. Pens are countable. Los puedes contar. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Books are countable. 1, 2, 3. Buttons are countable. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, microphones are countable. Can you hear that? 1, and maybe more microphones, okay? Eyes are countable. 1, 2, okay? Now, if you want to ask in English about the existence of one singular item, you say a or an, okay? Hay un coche delante de mi casa. Is there a car in front of my house? Is there a dog in your house? Yes, there is a car in front of my house. No, there isn't a dog in my house. Okay? And when it's plural, hay coches en la calle ahora. We don't say, are there cars in the street now? We add any. Are there any cars? Literalmente digamos algo así como, hay algunos coches. Algunos coches hay. But you say in Spanish, ¿hay coches en la calle ahora mismo? Are there any cars in the street now? Are there any people in Antarctica? Are there any people? People siempre es plural, ojo. Are there any people in Greenland? Are there any people in the north of Canada? Are there any people living on the top of Mount Everest? Are there any cars in the Congo? Are there any horses in Texas? Is there a horse in your house? Is there a car in your garage? Are there any cars in Mongolia? Do you understand? Now, yes, there is a car in my garage. Yes, there are some horses in Texas. Or, si quiero precisar más, yes, there are a lot of horses in Texas. Are there any Mexican people in Norway? Si hay mexicanos en Noruega, probably. There are some Mexican people in Norway. Are there any Norwegian people in Mexico? Yes, probably. Probably there are quite a few, bastantes. Probably there are quite a few Norwegian people in Norway. Are there more Norwegians in Mexico? Or do you think there are more Mexicans in Norway? Interesting question. And probably you have never stopped to consider this question. I'm sure. But think about it. Are there more Norwegians in Mexico? Or are there more Mexicans in Norway? Probably, in my opinion, there are more Norwegians in Mexico than Mexicans in Norway. But this is a paradox, a contradiction, because the population of Mexico is about 120 million. A lot of people. I'm not sure. I always confuse the population of Mexico and Japan. I think Japan is bigger than Mexico. I think in Mexico there are 90 million people. In Japan, 120. Check in your computer, in the internet, and see. But I think there are about 90 million people in Mexico. and there are maybe 4 million or 5 million only in Norway. There's a big difference between the Mexican population and the Norwegian population. So, if there are 90 million Mexicans on this planet and only 4 million Norwegians, then probably it's more logical to say there are more Mexicans in Norway than Norwegians in Mexico. Okay? But I don't agree. I think probably there are more Norwegians in Mexico than Mexicans in Norway. Because I think the Mexicans are not attracted to the cold climate in Norway. And I imagine some Norwegians are attracted to the climate and to the people, to the different lifestyle in Mexico as a place to live temporarily or permanently. So, are there any Norwegian people in Mexico? Probably. There are some Norwegian people in Mexico. Are there any Swedish people in Bolivia? Well, probably there are some. Of course, Sweden has an embassy, una embajada, in Bolivia, in La Paz. So, of course, there are some Swedish people in Bolivia. Are there any Swedish people in Antarctica? Maybe, but I doubt it. A lo mejor, pero lo dudo. Maybe, but I doubt it. But who knows? Who knows? If Sweden has an ice station for research in Norway, for exploration, or for tests, then maybe there are some Swedish people in Antarctica. Okay. Is there a book on the table? Yes, there is. Is there a pen in my right hand? Yes, there is. Are there any pens on the table? No, there aren't. How many pens are there in my left hand? There aren't any pens in my left hand. How many cameras are there in this room? How many cameras? Simple plural. ¿Cuántas cámaras hay? There's only one. That one. How many elephants are there under the table? Well, there aren't any elephants under the table. How many elephants are there in Africa? There are a lot of elephants in Africa. How many elephants are there in India? There are a lot of elephants in India too. Well, what's the difference between the African elephants and the Indian elephants? Well, the African elephants have bigger ears. Yeah. And also the African elephants are wild. It's impossible to control them. The Indian elephants work for people often, okay? So, and the elephants you see in the circus are Indian elephants, not African elephants, okay? So, there are a lot of elephants in Africa. How many elephants are there in Norway? Probably there aren't any. Or maybe there are 1 or 2 or maybe 3 elephants. The poor elephants that have to live in the Oslo Zoo. Can you imagine a poor elephant living in Norway? Okay, poor elephant. But maybe there are some elephants in Norway. Are there any elephants in Antarctica? No, there aren't any. And how many bus stops are there near your house? Near my house, there are probably about 20 bus stops near my house. I live in the center of Madrid. How many highways or motorways are there near your house? There aren't any motorways near my house. How many parks are there near your house? There's only one park near my house. Is there a beach near your house? No, there isn't a beach near your house. Why isn't there? Fijaos una pregunta negativa. ¿Por qué no hay una playa cerca de tu casa? Why isn't there a beach near your house? Well, it's because I live in the center of Spain, and so I need to drive at least 3 hours or 3.5 hours to reach the coast. So there isn't a beach near my house. Is there a petrol station near your house? Yes, there is. A gas station. A gas station, a filling station, a petrol station. The British say a petrol station. The Americans usually say a gas station. But filling station is also correct. Para el llenado o rellenado del depósito. filling station. Is there a gas station near my house? Yes, there is. In fact, the gas station is within walking distance. That's a very common expression in English, very common. People ask you, is it within walking? ¿Se puede ir andando? We don't say in English, can I go walking? That's very Spanish. Perhaps, can I walk there? But more common, is it within walking distance? And the petrol station near my house is within walking distance. It takes about 5 minutes, 6 minutes to walk from my house to the filling station or petrol station or gas station. Is there a supermarket near your house? It depends on your definition of supermarket. But a big supermarket, no, there isn't a supermarket near my house. There are small markets and grocery stores, but not a big supermarket. Is there a factory near your house? No, there isn't a factory near my house. I live in the center of the city, and the factories are on the outskirts, not in the center. They are on the outskirts of the city, the industrial area around certain parts of the city, okay? Is there a tobacco shop or a tobacconist? Is there a tobacco shop near your house? Yes, there is. Is there an underground station near your house? A tube station or a subway station? There are 3 words for el metro. The American word is subway, o sea, vía subterránea. De ahí viene subway. The British say the underground, or when they refer to the London Underground, they often say the tube, el tubo, okay, o la tubería, the tube. Is there an underground station near my house? Yes, there is. Is there an office building near my house? Yes, there is. My area of the city is predominantly residential. There aren't many office buildings, but I live very near one central square where there are several tall, high office buildings, okay? Yes, so yes, there are a few office buildings in my house. Is there a park near my house? Yes, there is. Okay, repasando. Is there a pen in my right hand? Yes, there is. Is there any ink in the pen? Yes, there is, I suppose. Of course, let's see. Yes, there is some ink in the pen. Are there any scratches on the pen? Arañazos. No, there aren't any scratches on the pen. Vamos a mirar esto. Primero la tinta. ¿Hay tinta en el boli? ¿Hay arañazos en el boli? Tinta es singular o no contable. Uncountable, ink. You can't count ink. It's impossible to count. You never say, excuse me, Rafa, how many inks do you have? You can't say that. It's not countable. We need to recurrir, to change to a countable way to measure the amount of ink. How many bottles of ink do you have at home? How many liters of ink do you have at home? Okay? How many? But how much ink is there in this pen? I really don't know. Money. Money is not countable. And you're going to say, well, I don't understand. Of course money is countable. I enjoy counting my money. But I'm sorry. Money is uncountable. It's an abstract concept. You can't conform money to a unit using the word money. So money is uncountable. How much money is there in the Federal Reserve? How much money is there in the Bank of England? How much money is there in the Bank of Spain? How much money is there? Always in the singular because money is not countable. And you repeat, wait, I still don't understand. Todavía no entiendo. I still don't understand. Money is countable. I said, no. Euros are countable. Dollars are countable. Pounds are countable. Pesos are countable. But money's not countable. You never say, excuse me, Rafa, how many monies do you have in your pocket? You can't say that because you cannot use the word money in a countable way. You have to change to countable words like dollars, euros, pounds, rubles, yen, etc. Pesos. ¿Cuántos euros tienes en el bolsillo? How many euros? How many coins? How many coins are there? How much money is there? Now listen. ¿Hay una moneda en tu bolsillo? Is there a coin in your pocket? ¿Hay monedas? Ahora pluralizo, ¿eh? ¿Hay monedas en tu bolsillo? Are there any coins? Inserto any. It's correct in English to say, are there coins in your pocket? It's no problem. It's correct, but we don't usually say that. 99.9% of the time, we always say, are there any coins in your pocket? Are there any people in the next room? Hay personas en la habitación del lado. Are there any people in the next room? Now, is there any money in your pocket? Three things. Countables and uncountables. Two countables and one uncountable. Okay. Vamos primero con los dos contables. Contable singular. Hay que insertar siempre el artículo indeterminado a o an. Ejemplo. Is there a coin in your pocket? Yes, there is a coin in my pocket. Is there an elephant in your pocket? No, there isn't an elephant in my pocket. A coin, an elephant. Ahora, vamos a seguir con los contables, pero ya ahora en plural. ¿Tienes monedas en el bolsillo? ¿O hay monedas en tu bolsillo? Are there any coins? Cuando pluralizo, cambio de a coin a any coins. And you have two options, yes or no. Are there any coins in your pocket? Yes, there are some coins in my pocket. Or, no, there aren't any coins in my pocket. Y pluralizo con los elefantes. Are there any elephants in your pocket? Yeah, yes, there are some elephants in my pocket. Or probably no, there aren't any elephants in my pocket. Okay, we've covered the two countables. Contable singular, a coin, an elephant. Contable plural, any coins, any elephants. Yes, some coins, some elephants. No, not any coins, not any elephants. Ahora vamos a los incontables. Is there any ink? ¿Hay tinta en tu bolsillo? ¿O hay dinero? Is there any money? Is there any ink in your pocket? Any también vale para los incontables, porque son masas abstractas. Es como si dijéramos, ¿hay algo de tinta en tu bolsillo? Is there any ink in your pocket? And you have two options. Yes, there is some ink in my pocket. No, there isn't any ink in my pocket. Okay. Is there any milk in your refrigerator? Okay. Is there any butter in your refrigerator? Yes, there is some butter in my refrigerator. Is there any meat in your refrigerator? Carne de vacuno. Yes, there is some meat in my refrigerator. Okay. Are there any problems in your company? Yes, there are some problems in my company. Contables en plural e incontables, que no realmente son singulares, pero es más abstracta. Okay? And be careful, because in Spanish sometimes, many times, you say, for example, no hay ningún perro en mi casa. And you translate to English and you say, there isn't any dog in my house. Para decir que no hay perro o no hay ningún perro en mi casa, there isn't a dog in my house. There isn't a dog. Because if you say there isn't any dog in my house, it makes me think that perhaps you eat dog meat and you're keeping it in your refrigerator. No, no hay nada de perro en mi casa. Ya lo hemos comido, ya nos lo hemos comido todo. Okay? So don't say there isn't any dog in my house. You're thinking in Spanish, no hay ningún perro en mi casa. There isn't any dog. ¿Qué va? You can go plural. There aren't any dogs. If you like the word any, pluraliza. There aren't any dogs in my house. No problem. But it's more common to say, there isn't a dog in my house. So be careful. I've never tried dog. And I don't think you would like it either. So in any case, there isn't a dog in my house. There aren't any dogs. Okay? But there isn't any milk. Okay, and now, there isn't any time left. There aren't any minutes left. So it means I have to stop. See you again. Take care. Study hard, and bye. Hello and welcome back. Welcome to a new English class. Today is a very hot day, and I'm wearing a suit today. Yeah, maybe it's too hot for me to teach. I'm not sure I feel like teaching today. It's too hot. It is so hot today that I don't feel like teaching. No tengo ganas de enseñar. It's so hot that no es opcional aquí, es imperativo. It's so hot that I don't feel like teaching today. It is such a hot day that I don't feel like teaching today. All right? And really, I'm a little tired too. Okay? I'm so tired that I don't feel like teaching. I'm such a tired teacher today that I don't feel like teaching. So and such. Listen. The plate. Have you ever been in a restaurant and a waiter comes and puts the plate? And he doesn't tell you that the plate is hot. And you accidentally touch it with your hand or with your wrist. And phew, it's hot. It's too hot to touch. It's too hot to touch. Sometimes the waiter says, "Excuse me, but the plate is hot. Be careful." And in that case, you don't touch it because you know that the plate is too hot to touch. And the waiter can tell you, "Be careful. The plate is so hot that you can't touch it." And you try, said, "Yes, it's true. The plate is so hot that I can't touch it. It is such a hot plate that I can't touch it." Repito. The plate is so hot that I can't touch it. It is such a hot plate that I can't touch it. Another example. Continue listening. Later, I will explain the grammar, okay? But this is very important. The man was very old. He couldn't walk. The man was very old. He couldn't walk. He was too old to walk well. He was so old, the man was so old that he couldn't walk. He was so old that he couldn't walk. He was such an old man that he couldn't walk. It's clear. It's very easy, right? But why do you have so many problems using these things? Let's repeat about the man. The man was so old that he couldn't walk. He was such an old man that he couldn't walk. The next one. The day is too cold for us, for you and me to play tennis. Hey, would you like to play tennis today? Yeah. No problem. The temperature outside is 17 degrees below zero, but it's a beautiful day. The sun is shining. It's clear. No clouds. It's 17 degrees below zero. What's the problem? You mean it's so cold outside that we can't play tennis? In your opinion. So in your opinion, it's so cold outside, the day is so cold that we can't play tennis. It's such a cold day. It's such a cold day that we can't play tennis. All right, maybe tomorrow. The runner is too slow to win the race. Okay, the runner is too slow to win the race. He is so slow, the runner, el corredor. The runner is so slow that he can't win the race. The runner is so slow. Muchas veces alargamos la palabra so, como cuando con los caballos cuando queremos recalcar más. The runner is so slow that he will never win the race. He is such a slow runner that he will never win any races. He is such. Y ahí cuando quiero hacer hincapié en que es lento, pero lento. Es tan lento. He is such a slow, y añado a. He is such a slow runner that he will never win a race. All right, that man is too short to play basketball. Never. He's 1.49 meters. He is so short that he will never play basketball. He is such a short man that he will never play basketball. To play basketball, you can be any height, any size. But to play basketball professionally, you need to be a little tall. It's very uncommon to find somebody under 1 meter 80. In fact, it's not very common to find many people under 1 meter 85 or even 1 meter 90. Basketball is a good sport. I like basketball a lot. I played basketball a lot when I was younger, but I don't like the sport for one particular reason. If you aspire to be a professional, you need to be tall, usually. And I prefer sports that anybody can become a champion in, that it doesn't require certain physical, genetic qualities. So to be a good basketball player, usually you need to be taller than 1 meter 90 and perhaps 2 meters. So you need to be a giant. Okay. And the man, and Pepe Perez, my friend Pepe, he is so short that he will never become a basketball player. He is such a short person that he'll never become a basketball player. Okay? Now, English, the English language. For some people, English is so difficult that they can never gain a good command of the language. It is so difficult that they never manage to master the language. Aquí manage no es gestionar, ni ser gerente de nada. Aquí manage es lograr. Lograr más otro verbo es to manage. Escuchad. English is so difficult that some people never manage to master it. Some people never manage to learn it. Some people never manage to gain a good command of the language because it's so difficult. English is so difficult that it's impossible to learn. Do you agree? Lo digo de otra forma. English is such a difficult language. English is such a difficult language that it's impossible to learn. It's such a difficult language that many people never manage to master it, no matter how hard they try. Por mucho que lo intenten. No matter how hard they try, they never manage to learn it because it's such a difficult language. It's so difficult. It's such a difficult language. It's so difficult. Do you understand the difference? There's no difference. They mean the same thing. Two ways of expressing the same idea. And at the end of the class, if time permits, if time allows, we will look at it theoretically, the theory. Okay, the next one. This steak is too tough for me to eat. If you go to a restaurant and you order a steak, pronunciation, steak. Se escribe steak, S-T-E-A-K. But 80% of the time, my students say stick, and I start laughing in class. Normally, I don't laugh when my students make mistakes because my job is to teach you English and to help you. And I'm a very patient person in class, okay, because they pay me to be patient, okay? And so I don't laugh because I understand it's difficult to learn a second language, like English. English is so difficult that it takes time. It's such a difficult language that it takes time. And so people are fighting with the language. And so I never laugh, except when my students tell me, no, yesterday I had dinner in a very good restaurant. What did you have? Oh, I ordered steak. And I start laughing. Steak. A stick is un palo de madera, un stick. Okay? If you play with the dog, you throw the stick and the dog runs to fetch the stick and bring it back. Steak. Now, if you go to a restaurant and you order a steak, the waiter asks you, how would you like your steak? And here in Spain you say, en su punto, al punto, bien hecho, poco hecho, crudo. And in English, at least in American English, the camera woman is from England. She can tell me. But in American English, we have, I think, 5 categories. When you order a steak in a restaurant, the waiter says, and how would you like the steak? And you can say rare, okay? And rare means when you cut it. It's red inside and cool. It's not hot. Okay? I think in Britain they say a blue steak. Okay? Strange. Un filete azul. All right. And then medium rare, you cut it, it's red in the middle and warm. Okay. Medium, that's a third, you cut it and it's pink in the middle. All right. Medium well means you cut it and it's the same color, and well done means it's very cooked. Okay. Now, if you order a steak well done, be careful, it could be tough. Also, if you order a steak rare or medium rare, it could be tough, depending on the quality of the meat. And when a steak is tough, it means you take the fork, you take the knife, and you start to cut. And it's not too easy to cut. This steak is not tender. Tierno. This steak is tough. Tough also means difficult. Learning English. English is so difficult that it's tough to learn. English is such a difficult language that it's tough to learn. And I'm having trouble cutting my steak because the meat is tough. It's so tough that I can't cut it. I'm working hard and it hurts. I'm getting a sore muscle here. Agujetas, trying to cut. Say, waiter, this steak is too tough. Bring me another. And he brings me another and the same. The meat is so tough that I can't cut it. It is such a tough steak that I can't cut it. And then when I finally manage to cut, aquí manage otra vez como logro, cuando por fin logro cortar un trozo, when I finally manage to cut a piece, then I have to chew it, to chew the meat. And if it's tough, I can spend 30 seconds or 45 seconds chewing the steak. And finally I say, no, it's too tough to eat. I say, waiter, this steak is so tough that I can't eat it. Or I say, waiter, this is such a tough steak that I can't eat it. It is so tough that I can't eat it. It's such a tough steak that I can't eat it. It's too tough for me. It's not tender enough. Bring me a tender steak. I don't want this steak. It's too tough to eat. In fact, it's so tough that I can't cut it, much less chew it, okay? All right. That man is too fat to get into my car. He has a problem. I have a very small car. All right, it's a very good car, but it's very small. And that man over there, porque le veo, por eso digo over there. Cuando hay referencia visual, solemos decir over there. That man is too fat to get into my car. I invited him to go have lunch with me, and I said, get in the car, and he couldn't get in. He was too fat. I said, my God, Manolo, you're fat. You need to lose weight, my friend. You need to slim down. You need to lose weight, because he was so fat that he couldn't get into my car. Can you believe it? He was so, my car is small, but my God, I think most people can get into my car to get into. But he was so fat that he couldn't get into my car. He was such a fat person. He was such a fat man that he couldn't get into my car. In fact, he is so fat that he needs 2 seats in the airplane. When he sits down, he needs 2 seats and a special seat belt because he's such a fat man. And he's so fat that he can't put on his belt in the morning. He uses a boomerang and the belt goes around, okay? He's so fat. He is such a fat man that he can't fit in the Grand Canyon. He fell into the Grand Canyon and he got stuck. I said, my God, he is such a fat man, all right? So I have my camera people laughing now. All right, my poor friend Manolo, he is so fat. Can you believe it? He is such a fat man that he can't get into the car. Manolo, I think you need to go on a diet. Yeah, he needs to go on a diet. All right, let's go on. The movie. Yesterday I went to a movie. I went to see a movie that in the newspaper, they said it was very good. I read the review in the newspaper, in the movie section, talking about the films that are here in the city. And I said to my wife, I want to see a film. ¿Y tú? I want to see a film. How about you? Would you like to see a film? And she said, yes, Let's go to the movies. Let's go see a film. Let's go see a movie. Let's go see. 3 verbs together. Okay? Let's go and see is probably the most common. Let's go and see a movie. But we make it even shorter. Let's go see a film. So I said, well, before we see a movie, let's analyze what's available. Let's study what's available in the city. And so I opened the newspaper and I read a review about a movie, and the review was very good. Okay? So I said to my wife, well, let's see this movie. And she said, okay, fine. In fact, it's at a cinema near here. We can walk. Oh, it's at a movie theater near here. My wife uses British English. I use American English. There's a movie theater near here. Yes, I know that cinema. So we walked to the cinema. After about 45 minutes, we left because the movie was so bad that we just couldn't stay. It was such a bad film that we decided to leave. It was so boring that I fell asleep twice during the first 45 minutes of the show. It was such a boring film. It was such a boring film that I told my wife, I can't stay awake. And my wife was saying, you're so tired that you shouldn't have come here. Yeah. And I said, but I'm not sleepy. It's such a boring film that I can't stay awake. And finally she agreed with me, so we got up and left. So it was true. I don't recommend that movie. It's so boring that you will fall asleep. It is such a boring movie that you will fall asleep, okay? We have 3 minutes left, so I need to hurry. Okay, the meeting was very boring. I fell asleep. So the meeting was so boring that I fell asleep. It was such a boring movie that I fell asleep. Yeah. The other day, I went to the airport to pick up my daughter. She arrived at the airport, and so I drove to the airport to pick her up. And I parked my car in the car park, or the parking lot of the airport, and I started walking towards the terminal. And it's a bit uphill. Not steep, but it's a bit uphill to go to the terminal. And there was a lady, maybe 60 years old, a relatively old lady. And she said, excuse me, young man. I said, oh, young man, can you help me with my bag, with my suitcase? I said, yeah, sure, no problem. And I couldn't lift it. It was so heavy, I couldn't lift it. It was such a heavy suitcase. And I said, excuse me, madam, but I can't. Oh, please, but I need your help. I said, well, wait. I couldn't lift it. It was impossible. It was such a heavy suitcase. And I was trying, and finally she said, you see that camera over there? And I said, yeah. You're on candid camera. We were on objetivo indiscreto. And she did it with every person who was in the airport. So I was on television trying to carry a suitcase that was impossible to carry. It was so heavy that I couldn't carry it. It was such a heavy suitcase that I couldn't carry it. So we have 1 minute. And in 1 minute, so es tan. La película fue tan aburrida que me fui. The movie was so boring. When you put the subject before so, we say so. The movie was so boring. So más el adjetivo. Y ya está. So boring, so tall, so easy, so difficult, so tough. Now, if you put the subject after, lo precedes todo con it. It was such a hot day. It was such a hot steak. Y añadimos a, el artículo indeterminado. It was such an easy exam that I finished it in 20 minutes. So, Cloverdale is so good that I learn English quickly. Cloverdale is such a good teacher that I learn English quickly. Is it clear? This class is so interesting that you will learn. This is Y digo, pongo clase después. This is such an interesting class, such an interesting class, such a boring class, such a productive class, such a stimulating class that you will learn with me. That's an order, okay? Which means you have to start studying. Because if you don't study, you won't learn. Okay, it's time. My camera lady is such a demanding person that I have to stop. She is so demanding that I have to stop. Okay? See you. Take care. Bye-bye. Hello and welcome back. The conditional. This is for advanced students, for the super intelligent only. Do you consider yourself a member of the super intelligent club? Okay, if that's the case, then continue watching, because today we're going to continue with the conditionals. The present conditional and the past conditional. The future conditional is condiciones del futuro. Si mañana tengo $1,000,000, compraré un yate. If tomorrow I have $1,000,000, I'll buy a yacht. Igual que en castellano. Mañana si tengo, compraré. If I have, I will buy. Present conditional. Si tuviera ahora mismo $1,000,000, compraría un yate. If I had $1,000,000, si tuviera, if I had $1,000,000 right now, I would buy a yacht, but I don't. If I didn't have a yacht, I wouldn't go to the beach. Okay. Past conditional. Yesterday, if I had received $1,000,000 from my rich uncle, if I had received $1,000,000 from my rich uncle, yesterday in the afternoon, I would have bought a yacht. Okay, that's the past conditional. Okay, listen. He, my friend Pepe, he makes a lot of money because he invests wisely. Well, it's logical. If he didn't invest wisely, he wouldn't make so much money. He's a very good investor, my friend Pepe. Investor, inversor. He's a very good investor. He's a very wise investor. Wise means sabio, muy acertado, muy listo en las cosas. He's very wise. He exhibits wisdom, sabiduría. Wisdom is the noun, wise is the adjective. Wisely is the adverb. Sabiamente, invierte sabiamente. He invests wisely. Probably in Spanish, acertadamente. And here, in the back of my mouth, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 wisdom teeth. Wisdom teeth. It's interesting. In Spanish, you say judgment teeth. Muelas de judgment molars. Muelas de juicio. In English, we say dientes de sabiduría. Okay? Wisdom teeth. Okay, but my friend Pepe, he makes a lot of money, or he earns a lot of money, because he invests, adverbio, wisely. Okay? If he didn't invest wisely, he wouldn't make so much money. Do you understand? Si no invirtiera tan sabiamente, no haría, no ganaría tanto dinero. If he didn't invest, like French, investissement, investment. If he didn't invest his money so wisely, he wouldn't earn so much money. Or in this case, he wouldn't make so much money. Because to make money is a businessman. To earn money is usually a salary or similar. But both are correct. If you have a nice salary, you make a lot of money. If you have a nice salary, you earn a lot of money. If you invest your money well, you make a lot of money or earn. Both verbs are perfect. But if you want to be a purist, to make money is usually in business transactions. And to earn money is usually by working, okay? But don't worry about the difference. In the case of Pepe, we can use both. If he didn't invest his money so wisely, he wouldn't make so much. But he's a successful investor, un inversor de éxito, o exitoso. He's a successful investor, and he invests his money wisely. If he didn't, si no invirtiera, uso el pasado. If he didn't invest his money so wisely, he wouldn't make so much money. Okay, now, our friend Pepe, he never goes to the beach. Never. Strange, he has a lot of money, but he never goes to the beach. Never. Why? Because he doesn't know how to swim. Pepe never goes to the beach because he doesn't know how to swim. To know how to. In Spanish you say, he doesn't know to swim. No, in English, no, know how to. Pepe doesn't go to the beach. He never goes to the beach because he doesn't know how to swim. But if he knew how to swim, he would go to the beach often because he likes the smell of the ocean, water, the air. He likes hearing the seagulls, las gaviotas. He likes the atmosphere, but he doesn't like to go because he can't go into the water because he doesn't know how to swim. He's afraid of the water. But if he knew, si supiera nadar, if he knew how to swim, knew, simple past, but we're using it the condition, supiera o supiese. If he knew how to swim, he would go to the beach more often. Okay. All right, now my wife. She doesn't make dresses because she doesn't know how to sew. To sew. To sew. With a needle and thread. Okay? If you sew, you can sew manually with a needle and thread, or you can use a sewing machine. Most people don't sew at home except to sew buttons. If you lose a button, you can sew a button back on. But it's interesting here. The verb is to sew, coser, to sew. The spelling is S-E-W. Strange. But the pronunciation is sew. Like the word sew, así que. So I decided to sew the button on. Sew. And in the famous song, sew a needle pulling thread. Okay. Sew. To sew. Now, a needle has an eye. The eye of the needle. And you thread the needle. You put the thread through the eye of the needle, and then you can start sewing. Okay. Now, my wife doesn't make dresses because she doesn't know how to sew. Well, if she knew how to sew, she would make dresses. If she knew how to sew, she would make dresses. Okay. Now, Pedro, another friend of mine, he wins a lot of money because he's a good poker player. He wins. Here I don't say he earns or makes because he's playing poker. He wins. When you play poker, you don't earn money. Well, maybe. It depends on your approach. It depends on how you consider. If a person is a professional gambler, for him it's like a salary or it's like a earnings. He earns money playing poker. But normally when you're playing poker, you win money or you lose money. Usually you lose money, so you need to be a bit careful, or you need to make sure, asegurar seguro. You need to make sure that you're a good poker player. Now, my friend Pedro, he wins a lot of money because he's a good poker player. He is a good poker player. Si no lo fuera, if he weren't a good poker player, he wouldn't make or he wouldn't win much money. In fact, if he weren't a good poker player, he would probably lose his shirt. Okay? It's dangerous to play poker if you're not a good poker player. But Pedro is. But if he weren't, si no lo fuera, weren't. Notice the pronunciation. It's not weren't. Weren't, como decís aquí muchos. If he weren't a good poker player, he wouldn't win a lot of money. Okay. But I know Pedro. I know him. Not because he's a friend. Not because we work together. But I know him because he lives near me. If he didn't live near me, I wouldn't know him, probably. If he didn't live near me, I wouldn't know him. That's the conditional. I know him because he lives near me. So, if he didn't live near me, probably, I wouldn't know him. Conditional, okay? I don't go to the doctor because I seldom become ill. I don't go to the doctor because I rarely get ill. I don't go to the doctor because I hardly ever get ill. Seldom, pocas veces. Rarely, raramente. Hardly ever, casi nunca. 3 ways of saying very similar things. I don't go to the doctor because I hardly ever fall ill, get ill, or become ill. Caer, o caer enfermo, to get ill. So, but if I got ill more often, I would go to the doctor. If I fell ill more often, probably I would go to the doctor more often. It's logical. If I became ill, become. If I became ill more often, si me pusiera enfermo con más asiduidad o más a menudo, if I fell ill or became ill more often, I would go to the doctor. Okay? He is always cold. Manolo is always cold because he doesn't wear warm clothes. Our friend Manolo. He is always cold because he doesn't wear warm clothes. Okay, several things. I'm cold. Tengo frío. We don't say I have cold. We say I have a cold. Es cuando tengo un resfriado. But I am cold. I'm cold. I'm hot. Okay? Now, my friend Manolo is always cold. Not because he's cold-natured. A person who is cold-natured, natured, convirtiendo la palabra naturaleza en adjetivo, que es un adjetivo, sustantivo adjetivizado en términos técnicos. Cold-natured is a person who is always cold. But that's not Manolo's case. He's not cold-natured. He simply never dresses properly when it's cold. He doesn't wear warm clothes. Clothes. My pronunciation. La ropa. I'm wearing clothes. In the United Kingdom, and Ireland, I think, most people say clothes, which is correct. In my part of the woods, in Texas, we say clothes. We pronounce ropa exactly like opening the door, closing the door. Really, if you want to say cerrar la ropa, you say close the clothes. Now, all my life, I say clothes. I've never said clothes in my life. However, nobody in my life has misunderstood me, and other English speakers don't even notice I'm saying clothes instead of clothes. Okay? Now, for you, of course, it's recommendable. It depends. Initially, or in principle, I should, as a teacher, recommend that you master the pronunciation clothes. Clothes. However, I've been teaching English for 33 years in Spain, and I'm still waiting for the first Spanish student to correctly pronounce clothes. They can't. You can't, probably. So I recommend that you use my defective way, because that's easy for Spaniards. It's easy for you to say clothes. My clothes. I like your clothes. Are those new clothes? So probably forget about being a purist, and let's go to my Texas pronunciation. Say clothes, because at least you'll say it right, and you won't have a pronunciation problem with cloths, etc. Okay, so my friend Manolo is always cold because he never wears warm clothes. He never wears warm clothes. Warm. Warm means calentito. Warm is the opposite of cool. The extremes are hot, cold, warm, cool. Just right. Perfect temperature. Okay? Hot, cold, warm, cool. Now, to calentar algo, you can say to warm something up or to heat it up. Now, when you're getting ready for sports activities, athletic activities, normally you warm up. Okay? In fact, sometimes the clothes you wear are called warm-ups. It's a word we use sometimes. Now, it's interesting. We say warm clothes, where you say in Spanish, ropa que abriga. Okay? Clothes that cover you. I don't know how, I can't translate that, but you say ropa que abriga, and we say warm clothes. Hey, Felipe, wait, it's 7 degrees outside. You're wearing summer clothes. You need to wear warm clothes before you go out. So, our friend Manolo, finally, to finish this story, he is always cold because he never wears warm clothes. He never wears. The verb to wear, llevar puesto, to wear. If he wore warm clothes, he wouldn't always be cold. Do you understand? Si llevara puesto, so se dice ropa que abrigara, if he wore warm clothes, he wouldn't always be cold. The past tense of to wear is wore. It's exactly the same pronunciation as guerra, a war. The First World War, the Second World War, okay? So, in essence, if you said, yo llevé puesto una guerra, you said, yesterday I wore a war. But of course, we don't speak that way, but the pronunciation's the same, okay? Wear, wore, worn. So our friend Manolo, he's always cold because he doesn't wear warm clothes. Okay, if he wore warm clothes, he wouldn't be cold all the time, okay? I'm not worried about deflation in Spain because the prices never fall. In this country, the prices never fall. So deflation, which is the opposite of inflation, when the prices go up, we call that inflation. When the prices go down, we call that deflation. Okay? Normally, countries suffer inflation more often than deflation. In fact, in the past 60 years maybe, this world, most places, most areas of the world haven't experienced, no han experimentado. We have 2 verbs, to experiment and to experience. To experiment is maybe testing using tubos de ensayo, test tubes, etc., to experiment. To experience is experimentar en carne propia, that you feel it, you experience, it's part of your experience, okay? Whereas in Spanish, you use the same word, experimentar. Okay, most countries haven't experienced deflation. But what do you think? What's more different? What's more dangerous for a country? Inflation or deflation? Every economist will tell you that deflation is much more dangerous. It can destroy the economy of a country, and quite quickly if there's deflation, because people they ask for loans from the bank, they have debts, and when deflation, their debts are much more expensive and they can't return the money. In an inflationary economy, debts contracted today are cheap tomorrow to pay back because the money is worth more and your salaries are higher. Okay, but here the question is, I'm not worried. No estoy preocupado para nada. I'm not worried about deflation because the prices in Spain never fall. Well, I guarantee you, my friend, if prices fell, you would be worried about deflation. It seems, you see, wow, prices are falling, fantastic. But if prices fall in a general spiral, you will suffer a lot, I will suffer a lot, everybody will have problems. So, si los precios cayeran, yo estaría preocupado. If prices fell, no hay te al final aquí, felt del verbo sentir. If prices fell, I would be worried. If prices fell, I would be worried. Okay, I get a discount because I pay in advance. Every day, I go to a special place and I buy something and I pay in advance. Pagar por adelantado, to pay in advance. And because I pay in advance, they give me a discount, un descuento. In Spanish, you don't say to give a discount. You say to do a discount or make. Me hacen un descuento. I don't agree. I prefer the verb to give. I prefer the Spanish way, the English way, sorry. But, puesto que pago por adelantado, me hacen un descuento. Because I pay in advance, they give me a discount. If I didn't pay in advance, they wouldn't give me a discount. Condicional puro aquí. Si no pagase por adelantado, no me darían, o no me harían un descuento. If I didn't pay in advance, they wouldn't give me a discount. If I didn't pay, si yo no pagara. Si pagara, if I paid. Si no pagara, if I didn't pay. If I didn't pay in advance, they wouldn't give me a discount. But, puesto que pago por adelantado, but, since. Since has two meanings, puesto que y desde que. En este caso, puesto que. As I pay in advance, since I pay in advance, because I pay in advance, they give me a discount or I get, consigo un descuento. I get a discount on every item I purchase. Cada partida de compra, cada concepto de compra, cada elemento que compro. I receive a discount on every item I purchase. And on this English program, do you get a discount? Do I give you a discount? Do you pay in advance? Have you paid for this DVD that you're watching? Did they give you a discount? Let me know. If they didn't give you a discount, let me know. Okay? Thank you. I hope to see you again very soon because you need to improve your English, and that's my job, to help you improve your English. But the final responsibility is yours. So good luck with your English, and I'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.